Safe Streets Baltimore, and potentially opportunities for our work to intersect. We are delighted to be able to share this program with you, and we hope that you will leave here having learned more, committed to doing more, and even more so, to being more. I want to change the agenda just a little bit to acknowledge folks that are in the room. I want to thank the community-based organizations who sponsor the Safe Street sites in our city. They include Living Classrooms Foundation, Family Health Centers of Baltimore, Park Heights Renaissance, and Associated Catholic Charities. I want to thank everyone on the MOCJ team who were a part of coordinating today. We were absolutely excited to put this together and host you in this way. I'd like to stop now and offer an opportunity for our police commissioner, Gary Tuggle, to come and offer a few words of greetings.
Good morning. How's everybody? Good. Hey, first of all, let me just say that I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and I'll tell you why. If you look up here, it talks about stopping the epidemic of violence that has really given this city a reputation that it doesn't deserve. To see the efforts on your behalf, the effort to reduce that violence, the effort to move our citizens to a more productive point in life is hugely important. It's not about just law enforcement. It's about people enforcement. It's about humanity and giving folks an opportunity to better themselves. So I can't tell you how important I see your effort as in this city. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. I really wanted to be here just to say thank you. Thank you for what you guys and girls are embarking on. Thank you for the efforts, and thank you for being willing to extend yourselves to help other people. And for that, on behalf of the men and women of the police department, we really appreciate the effort. All right? Thank you.
So now I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce some of the other folks in the room and give you an opportunity to see who you have the opportunity to connect, engage with, and support beyond this morning. I'm going to ask if each person who works in the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice would stand, introduce themselves and their title, and then we're going to move on towards introducing the staff of Safe Streets Baltimore. Anybody can start. You know you can volunteer or be voluntold. MOCJ staff, please.
I am Kenya Osley, the Chief of Grant and Contract Administration for MOCJ.
Leon Henry, I'm the Senior Project Coordinator, Manager.
Thank you, MOCJ staff. Now, I would like to share the pleasure of your meeting the Safe Streets Baltimore team. And I'm going to ask each site staff to stand up, identify yourself by your name, your role, and what site you work at. Why don't we start in the back with Imhotep.
Imhotep 5-2, site director for Santan.
Gregory Marshburn, Site Supervisor, Santan. It's hard to hear him.
Coordinator, East Side.
Singletary Site Director of Finance.
So now that you've had a chance to see who's in the room, you know where to direct your questions and where to receive some of your answers. We've asked the site staff to sit at these tables with you to engage conversation, to make this personal and interactive. So thank you for indulging us in this way. I want to again say thank you for coming, for supporting us, and for being interested enough to learn more about the work that we do and thinking about how we can do it better together. Now I'd like to engage you in a bit of an icebreaker activity. This is what we do. We are a relational group of people. We like to connect. It's more than about the head work. It is always about the heart work. And we have to connect around that and be supportive of each other so that we can move the needle on the work in a collective kind of way. So I'm going to bring before you Lucane LaFortune, who is our Sexual Assault and Recovery Team Coordinator, to walk us through this activity. Thank you, Lucane.
Good morning again. I am going to begin with a quote because I think both Dedra and I agree with connectedness. And so this quote is about connectedness. There is simply no pill that can replace human connection. There is no pharmacy that can fill the need for compassion, interaction with others. There is no panacea. The answer to human suffering is both within us and between us. Having said that, we're going to do an icebreaker so you can connect with people at the table and just make the connection, because I think that's also part of the answer to the pandemic or epidemic of violence in the city. The more we see each other as humans, the more compassionate we are, the more we try to connect with one another, I think the more kindness we'll have in the city. So you should have on your table a sheet of paper that says icebreaker. Let me know if you don't have enough. Okay. One of the things I love about the Safe Streets team when I've gone to some of the sites is that they're always hugging each other. They're always just so kind, and I love that. And I applaud Dedra for creating that kind of community. So hopefully through this icebreaker, you'll get to know them even more. So once you get the icebreaker sheet, what we'd like for you to do is to pair off with someone you do not know. Pair off with someone you do not know. And for 3 minutes, I know, you thought you would get to sit with your friends and chat today. Nope. And spend 3 minutes sharing the answers on the icebreaker with each other. I love the excitement in the room. You have a lot to say. So the time is up. If you can move to another table for another 3 minutes and share your list with other groups, starting now. If you're comfortable moving to another table. The point is to get to know people that you didn't come here with. So. Okay, time's up. This is the last time you're going to switch. We would like for you to go, and I see you've already done that, thank you, to move from one side of the room, if you haven't been to the other side, to go to the other side, okay? The point is to talk to people you've never talked to. Okay. Now that we've ripped off the Band-Aid. Okay, those of you who want to return back to your table, feel free to do so now.
I'm gonna get it.
I have a mentor who taught me that comfort is overrated. And I always laugh at that quote, but it's really helped me in my life to get to know people, to learn about different worldviews, different viewpoints. And so we're gonna move along and get a couple of volunteers to share how it felt to go through this experience and also what you learned about the work that you did not know before. So we'll just do a couple of volunteers from each table, if that's okay. Starting over here, is that okay? What did you learn about the work that you didn't know before? Or how did it feel to go through this activity? Okay, the camera people have informed me that you need to come up to the mic so they can hear you clearly. I think by now we're like family, right? So
I think so. I think that it was a wonderful thing. We got to learn different personalities. We got to learn different people's struggles, and we got a chance to share what Safe Streets was about to people and break it down. You're welcome.
next table. Come on up.
I just think it was a good thing for Safe Streets to interact with different organizations and let y'all know our personality and things we do.
So I definitely think it was a good thing, because I got a chance to put names to faces that I didn't know before. I got to learn other people's purposes, their passions, and their visions for what they're doing, and the reason why they got involved in what they're in.
Good morning, everyone. One thing I learned is that beyond the fact that we're all here because we care about the city and we care about, stemming the violence, there are people from all different nationalities that are here and have struggles in their own particular ways, and we can support this work in many different ways from those perspectives.
Well, today I learned that everybody in this room has a heart and we all care. That's what matters to me.
Okay, can we get a couple more folks from the community? Other folks from the community? Other folks in addition to Safe Streets? So you two are the last.
Good morning, everyone. I learned that, it was a connection because I was exposed to information that I wasn't familiar with prior to coming here this morning. So hopefully I can get some more information that I can tap into and help me do a better job in what I'm doing. Thank you.
Okay, and then the last person.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stuart. I'm from Baltimore Healthy Start, and I learned that we're more connected than we think. One of the first people that I sat down to talk to we may have gone to school together when we were young. And so you just never know how you cross back paths with people. And just doing the work that you love, working in communities, just keep in mind that you never know how much connected you are. And getting the opportunity to talk, you just see, break down walls.
Well, that was a beautiful way of ending this activity. Thank you, everyone, for pushing through your comfort zone. And I will now turn it back to the wonderful Dedra. Thank you.
So now we'd like to share with you the presentation of Safe Streets Baltimore, so you can get to understand the model from the inside out. And this might incite some additional questions in you, and we encourage you to have those conversations around your tables with the site staff that are sitting with you. But we also encourage you to jot down the questions that you don't get answered in this room today and reach back out to us. We'd love to connect in the community, on the streets where our boots are and where the work really happens. So this doesn't end at 2 o'clock. You gotta be out of this room, but the connections that we are building do not end at 2 o'clock. They extend far beyond that. So now, I'd like to introduce MOCJ Fatil, our site director from Sandtown East. MOCJ is going to take you through the Safe Streets Baltimore presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to try to take us through it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So first, I'd like to warn everybody that I'm extremely passionate about the work that I do. So if at some point in this presentation you hear passion coming out of me, do not misconstrue that as being anger. Because oftentimes a passionate black man is called an angry black man. But I'm far from angry. I'm just passionate about saving lives. Is that clear? Yes. So we're dealing with Safe Streets. I like to talk about Safe Streets like this first and foremost before I get into this. See, Safe Streets is, look at it as being black ops. And I use the terminology black ops because I want people to truly understand that we are doing something that a lot of people can't do. You know, most of us, not all of us, but most of us that work with Safe Streets, we made some decisions in our life at some point that derailed us. And as a result of us being derailed, we accumulated some skill sets that now can be utilized. And that's what we're doing today. So now we do have a special set of skills that allow us to be useful for the city. And we need for everybody to acknowledge that and recognize that. So when I say black ops, I really mean in the sense of being black ops, because we can get in places and go places that others can't get into, nor can they go. And we can stop shootings. And our data shows that. So I need to put that out there so we can be really clear about who Safe Streets is, what we do, and how we do what we do. So everything is based on a model. So the first thing, I don't really like this presentation. I'm a passionate person. I like to be organic. It makes me so like a mechanical person. I can't do anything mechanical. I got to be real. So let's do it like this. So Safe Streets is about identifying the violence. So we got to be able to identify. So the special skill sets that we have as individuals allows us to go out and target areas in Baltimore City. And when we go in these areas, we can identify the potential shooting. And so for us, the shooting and the violence is viewed as a disease. We understand that as a disease. So therefore, once we make identification, we identify with it, then our next objective is to be able to get in there and stop the transmission of that. And we stop the transmissions of these shootings and these beasts by mediation, by conversations. And then through the conversation, we begin to try to bring these individuals to talk to our VPCs. Our VPC is the Violence Prevention Coordinator. And they have a function that's designed to help these individuals. I thought I was loud enough. Oh, okay, on the microphone, okay. So the purpose of the VPC is to help us change the norms. We work with individuals and we introduce them into the job functions, job training, job opportunities, you know, different programs, vocational shops, and things to that degree. So that's this right here, interrupt the transmission, prevent the future spread. We prevent the future spread through the mediations. Then we got to change the group norms. But this right here, this model is based on the epidemic. This is the World Health Tree. This is CDC stuff. So this is not something that we just making up. We're not grabbing this out the air. This is based in real life situations. If they was to go in and stop the Ebola, they're going to identify, they're going to go in there, they're going to stop the transmission, they're going to change the norms because the disease itself came from the norms. It was the behavior, it was the socialization that birthed the disease. So this is what we're saying. We're doing the same exact thing. The curb violence model to stop shootings and killings. Identification and detection, I just spoke about that. Interruption, intervention, and risk reduction. Change behaviors and norms. And the piece that's really crucial is the change in the behavior and the norms. And that's the challenge of Safe Streets. And that's the challenge because we're dealing with individuals who have been socialized to be a particular way because the environment that they find themselves within, the way that they are, it works in that environment. So the task for us is to bring them out of that environment. And oftentimes, you're trying to bring a person out of the environment, you're asking them to change. And see, most of us have been socialized to fear change. We fear the unknown. Because we believe that what we have been doing is actually working for us. So therefore, we don't want to sacrifice what we've been doing to move into something else because we don't know if that's going to work. And so our job as VIs, as VPC, as site directors and supervisors is to have this ongoing dialogue. It's an ongoing dialogue. And we got to show individuals that this thing is possible because we were there. We were once where you are at. And it's easy to make the transition when you allow yourself to be open and when you begin to change the way that you think. It's the thinking that we have to attack. And that takes time. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years to change the thinking. But we have to be consistent. We have to go where they are at. We got to go where he's shooting dice at. Little Joe shooting dice in the alley. You got to go in the alley with Little Joe and get him out that alley. And you can potentially walk into an alley that's where a dice game is where you get robbed. But we can't say I'm not going in the alley because it can get robbed. No, we hired to go in that alley. That's our job. Go up in that alley and get Little Joe and bring him out and talk to him in that corner and put something in his mind. You having a conversation for 15 minutes, dice game get robbed. And you say, look, man, you want to talk to me, you be down in that alley. Things like this happen. But this is what we have to do. Did I go too fast? Well, pretty much the curb violence model, identification of text when I was speaking about potential shooting events. We do that because, like I said, we have a special skill set. So for us, we can smell violence. We can see the potential of it. We can see when there's going to be a shooting. We can see when there's going to be a beef. We see these things because we were once a part of it. So all we have to do is be out in the community, doing our work, doing our daily canvases, doing our monthly walks. We just have to be out there and we can see what's about to take place. And if we don't see it, by us being so consistent in the community, doing the work, doing our community events, the community begin to be our eyes and ears. They begin to work with us to help us do the work that we do. There are many situations where individuals have texted or came to our site in Sandtown and told us or made us aware of situations that they were personally involved in or acts of violence they were on their way to go perpetrate that allowed us to be able to get in and stop. See Stanley Dennis right here? So these are some of the skills that include, like I spoke earlier, able to relate to highest risk individuals. So the highest risk individuals for Safe Streets, this is our language. They are individuals who are likely to be a perpetrator or a victim of a shooting. We don't focus on the at risk. It's the highest risk, but we don't turn away the at risk. Safe Streets have a single focus, the reduction of shootings and homicides. So this is the reason why we deploy our girls and guys into the community to go out to reduce shootings and homicides. And they have to possess this initiative. It's doing what you said it was going to do. So it's just moving. It has its own mind. So we have to be able to go out in the neighborhood and identify. We have to be able to relate. We have to be able to get into places where most people can't go. We have to have street credibility as well. And what I mean by street credibility is that neither person working for Safe Street, we can't be rats. You can't be a rat, you gotta be somebody that's from the street level. You have to be someone that's upstanding. That you were upstanding when you were in the streets. If you went to prison, you have to be upstanding. You can't be someone that went to prison while you was in prison. Your commissary every week went to someone else. Now you want to work for Safe Streets. It can't work that way. You have to be, from our standards, you have to be an upright man or girl. And this will allow you to do the work that we do. Even if you didn't come from where we come from, you still have to be someone that has integrity. Because oftentimes we live in a society that does not cultivate integrity. So if you do not come from the streets and you just happen to work with us, you gotta have integrity, because we have as our resume is our credibility. So we don't have, you see what I'm saying, all the fancy stuff everybody else has to fall back on. The only thing we can fall back on is what we've done when in those streets. And so we got to retain that. That's precious to us. So anybody that works with Safe Streets got to be someone that's upstanding. It has to be someone that has some integrity, and so on and so forth. I don't know where we at with this thing. You got it? You want back? Also, the individuals that we focus on, they meet this particular criteria. And they got to meet 4 of that. And we go through like a screening process. And I'll give you a basic scenario. So if we working with Lil Jim over time, and then we wanted to make Lil Jim a part of a participant. We don't have members. But let's say a participant is someone that we're going to focus on intentionally and purposefully. He or she would have to meet 4 of these criteria, be between the ages of 14 and 25, recently released from prison, recently shot, active in violent street organization, history of violence, weapons carrier, engaged in high-risk activity. And high-risk activity is, like I said earlier, it's those activities that can likely lead to a shooting. You being shot or you being the perpetrator of a shooting. So that's high-risk for us. So we can identify those individuals because I say that our guys and girls work in the neighborhood and they work in the environments where such individuals frequent. So our responsibility is to go there to be amongst that particular target population and to begin to try to bring them out, person by person. That's the task. And in the meantime, prevent them from being a victim or a perpetrator of a shooting or a homicide. So when we say intervene in crisis, we're more so speaking about help individuals deal with in the moment street events or situations without shooting. And it can be a situation where in most cases, was not talked about a lot in Safe Streets. In most cases, some of the mediations we get, we are stopping retaliations. Sometimes we are literally stopping retaliations that without our intervention would have occurred. Meaning that we are able to stop some situations after, a shooting have occurred. And in most cases, we stop a lot of things on the front end because we get the information. And we conduct the mediation. We talk to different individuals. We talk to groups. We do the one-on-one mediation. We do group mediations. We do in the street mediations. We do mediation inside the building. We do mediation by taking people down to Mondama Mall. We done had that before. We go wherever we got to go at to talk to these individuals to keep them from using that gun. And what I can say is this. As long as I've been involved in Safe Streets from 2008 up until now, to my knowledge, and I worked in Safe Streets in East Baltimore, I worked in Safe Streets in Park Heights, and I worked in Safe Streets in Sandtown. I've never seen a shooting occur after Safe Streets mediated the situation. Never in the history of it. And like I say, I've worked in 3 different sites. If we get there and if we mediate it, that situation, that particular one is done if we mediate it. And the reason why that is so is because the individuals that's doing the mediations are upstanding individuals. And when we ask individuals on the strength of us not to do this or that, they comply. Because there is a basic logic that's in the streets. They do believe in some things. So the behavior norms I spoken earlier, we really want to get people to change their thinking. It's the thinking that has to change. That's an ongoing conversation. And in the meantime, we're trying to change the thinking. We have to be able to provide resources because we're telling someone to step away from something that, from their perspective, is providing for them. From their perspective, what they're doing is providing for them and their family. And we're saying, hey, don't do this. So I'm literally telling you, don't take care of your family. If you believe that this is the only way you can do it, now granted, none of us here may believe that. But if this is their particular socialization, now I'm coming in saying, don't do this. Essentially, I'm saying, don't take care of your family. because I'm not replacing it with anything. So this is the reason why the Safe Streets has to become Safe Streets. The movement and everybody in Baltimore City has to support it. Because all of you who have the resources and the jobs and the connections, you have to be linking up with a site that's in your neighborhood, that's in your area, helping us help these individuals. And we have to stop complaining about the shootings, and we got to say, what can we do to help stop the shootings? Well, you got a group of individuals right now that's on the ground that don't run away from the shooting. We run to the shootings to stop the shootings. We need everybody to support us and get behind us. That's what we need, because we can't keep asking these brothers not to take care of families. If robbing is the way he take care of his family, that's what he's going to do. If I say put the gun down, what am I going to give him in the meantime? Because changing his way of thinking takes some time. He's not going to change his thinking overnight. So I need to be able to buy time in the meantime. So when he tell me, Mr. Imhotep, or we call Greg, or Rashad, or any DI, I'm willing to put the gun down, we need to be able to contact someone in here who got some resources and say, you know what, we can help that guy. We can get past all the red tape, and we can help that guy. Because we're telling you, we're dealing with the highest risk. So they can't go through the normal channels. There gotta be somebody to give them the red tape, because these are killers that we're dealing with. And if we're telling you we got a potential killer, if they put his gun down, we gotta expedite that. So Safe Streets gotta be a movement, and everybody gotta get involved. I'm not angry, it's passion. So a little bit of the stats, I think I gotta get off at 11:10. So Safe Street staff performed 1,404 mediations, 80% of which were deemed very likely to lead to gun violence. Now think about that. So you got close to 1,500 mediations deemed likely to be that could have led to gun violence. So the question could be asked, well, how do you know that could have been a shooting? Because we have to give Safe Streets workers some credit. They are good at what they do. They are good at what they do. And we know when we talk to this dude, they got that 40 cal in his pants, and he's mad because he want to hit that guy over there. We know who we talking to. We know when we talking to a shooter. We from the neighborhood. We know that, yeah, he will do this. So when we say it's likely to be a shooting, that's because we got what? Empirical evidence. That's what we're talking about. So we say it's likely to happen, that was going to be a shooting if Lamont wouldn't have got there. You know, if Pookie wouldn't have got there. You know? Like I remember one time in Park Heights when Fussy and Pookie had to take two teams out of the neighborhood and take them down Mount Diamond. And these individuals had firearms on them. But that shooting was going to happen if they wouldn't have got there. So when we say it's likely to be a shooting, that's the truth. Because we out there doing the work. During the history of the program, 3 out of 4 sites reached a period of 365 or more consecutive days without a firearm homicide. So we tend to go long periods of times once we get in and begin to work. And we can, in our area, because we don't target the entire Baltimore City, and people tend to think that, and they say, well, how is Safe Streets effective when you have 300-something murders in Baltimore City? Because we believe that Safe Streets target the entire city. No, Safe Streets target specific target areas within Baltimore City. So to understand the data of Safe Streets, you got to understand where Safe Streets target areas are. And when you look at the target area, then you can see the results and you can see how we reduce the shootings. Because you can look at a particular area and you can see before Safe Streets was implemented in a particular area, you can see how shootings were up. You can see homicides were up. You can see aggravated assault were up. And after a certain time period of Safe Streets working within the target area, you begin to see the decline. You begin to see the decline. And then if you're trying to look at it from a scientific point of view, you have to ask the question. If we go back 5 years and we've seen consistently a certain amount of shooting, and then at a certain time period, when these shootings went down, you got to ask the question, what thing happened in that area? You got to search that out. You know what I'm saying? So you can begin to link the decline to something. And the only radical thing that occurred is the implementation of Safe Streets. It's the implementation of Safe Streets. So that's the way we see the decline. So Safe Street actually works. You know, you have to take the time to understand where we work at. We got target areas. If you're looking for Sandtown, we don't do the entire Sandtown. Sandtown is large. We focus from there in Sandtown, we from Lawrence to Baker to Fulton over to Fremont and everything inside of that. Everything inside, that's where we at, which we catch Gilmore homes. But if you look at the data in Sandtown, you go back before we came into Sandtown, we started in 2016. If you look at the data from 2016 on back, you'll see a significant amount of shootings and homicides in Sandtown. But if you go from 2016 on out, you're gonna see a reduction. The numbers don't lie. Survey, this is just a survey that happened between 2007 and 2010. So surveyed young men were much less likely to support gun violence than comparison areas. Reduction in gun violence occurred in a relatively short period of time after program implementation. Like I was saying earlier, like once Safe Streets is implemented, you can instantly begin to see little things occurring. But we know we need to use the time period to say definitively that it's Safe Streets, but you can see things happening once the program is implemented. Reductions appear to spread or spoil over to areas bordering Safe Streets posts. With that is saying that, like I said, our post area is, for instance, we on Lawrence and you got Baker. Over time, you begin to see the effects of what you're doing inside your post spill over into areas that's actually outside of your post. Most definitely, it happened in East Baltimore in the McElderly Park area when we was there. You know, we was doing so much work in over there that it spilled out. So you can see the effects of it on the surrounding side of the post, meaning that it's highly effective. It is highly effective. And the only challenge, like I said early on, is being able to always move these guys expeditiously from off the streets into something else. And I say expeditiously, and I really mean that. We gotta think that way. We gotta say, you know what? We're taking a potential shooter off the streets. It gotta be a different passageway that he or she can go through. Can't be the normal channels. They're gonna get hungry. A study of behavior change published in 2016 found that Safe Streets reduced attitudes towards violence in 15 to 24-year-olds in Park Heights. So that's where the Park Heights site, raise your hand in Park Heights. So give it up for those guys, because that's there in Park Heights, right? And it's not tough. Because they in that Cold Springs, Shirley Avenue, Oswego Mall part of Park Heights. You know, that Swan Avenue. That ain't no joke, man. You got Oswego Mall, man. It's the smallest projects in Baltimore, right? That joint, man, is savage, man. I grew up in that area, and this is where these guys work. They're up there doing some serious work, and we gotta always commend that. Gotta always commend it when it's highlighted. When provided with scenarios, youth in the intervention area were more likely to select nonviolent strategies compared to the controlled community. And what I'm saying is that people begin to identify with Safe Streets. They begin to associate themselves with Safe Streets vicariously. They begin to live through Safe Streets. They begin to mimic Safe Streets. A video was sent to, I think it got sent to Greg Lamont. Greg, I know some kind of way it came to me. But it was of some little teeny children in Sandtown on a weekend. They had a makeshift band, a makeshift stick, and they was out saying, what do we want? Safe Streets. Little children, 5, 6, and 7 years old, and said, walk them down the streets. So an old lady recorded them, and she sent it. So we're thinking like, these little children was impacted by what we're doing. So all we gotta do is continue to be the model for them, and then at some point, we potentially save some children that could potentially went into the darkness of that environment, because those environments are dark and demonic. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that's going on. And we just potentially touch someone by just being out there, being consistent. And by them seeing us being consistent, showing up at our best selves always, we touch those children. So that's pretty much what that was saying. So similarly trained staff could also be used in hospital-based violence interruption programs and schools or even correctional facilities. Now, I want to speak about the correctional facilities. I got 6 minutes, I'm gonna take 5. The streets in the penal institutions are locked hand in hand. They are locked hand in hand. So for those who may have the pull, the clout, or the resource to do so, we have to figure out ways to get in conversation with the prison system, with DOC, the Division of Correction. We got to get in conversation and figure out how we can begin to implement it, because if we can implement it on the inside, and begin to work on the inside, it's going to help tremendously on the outside. Because some situations that arise out here originated in there. Some situations. So we got to begin to think broadly and very strategically to really get in those places, in those areas where key individuals are. And for Safe Streets, the key individuals are shot callers. They are individuals who have the potential to assist us in mediating situations. And some key individuals are where? Already incarcerated. And they're going to be there for quite some time. So why not utilize that influence? The same way we utilize it out here, why not make use of that influence? He's a key individual, he got 50 years. Let's utilize the influence some kind of way. Let's make it happen. So we got to begin to think very creatively if we're going to really, reduce the shootings and homicides that's taking place, because it's a holistic approach. We have to take that. And I believe this is the last one, right? So that's the last one. I actually got ended a little bit earlier, so I'm going to take 2 more minutes because I like to talk in front of people when it comes to, when it comes to talking about what we do, I like to take those opportunities to talk. Sometimes I can sit back and be quiet, but when I got an opportunity to talk to a room of very important people, I want to tell you something about who we are and why we do what we do and how I feel that you can help us do what we do. Right? So we are human beings, first and foremost. I know it's hard for people to look past the fact that some of us has a background. It's very hard to get past that. Although I know we live in this time period when people say they believe in second chances, we really don't believe in second chances. We just say that because it's the best thing to say. But what I'm telling you, when I stand before you and say is this here, right? We gotta move to a place where we truly begin to believe in those who transform themselves. Because if you consistently block us out, if you consistently look down on us, if you consistently treat us with contempt and patronize us because you believe that we are unintelligent, because we made some decisions in our lives, right? You're gonna potentially harm and ostracize your potential greatest assets in this crusade. So we have to be let in. No more blocking us out. You gotta let us in. You gotta recognize us. So I stand before you today as a transformed man. And at some point, we gotta be recognized at who we are today. You gotta say, you know what? I like them. I like him. You know? She's a great woman. He's a great man. That's what has to happen, because I feel it and I sense it always. When I'm in different situations, it's this contempt for us, for Safe Streets. And I'm a representative of Safe Streets, so I always take the responsibility to speak for the whole group, because I think my group are okay with the things that I say when I speak for us, right? I think they support me. So I become the champion for us. And that's what has to happen. We need everybody to start recognizing us, because we put our lives on the line for this city. And you can't just treat us as somebody because we made some bad decisions once upon a time in our life. Because everybody in this room made a bad decision once upon a time in your life. You just didn't get caught for it. Or somebody in your family got you out of this situation. That's all. Everybody in here live inside a glass house. We can all throw rocks and shatter your window. Do we not know that? Okay then, let's get this thing right. Let's just stop talking. Let's start being real. And let's start treating human beings like human beings. That's what time it is. Because we are here. We're not going away. And there's tons of us that's going to come out the system, man, that's not going away. We are part of this society. And we got to reckon with that. And we got to treat this thing real. Some of us do change. And we change in a real life way. I've been home from prison for 14 years. I came home in 2004. And I haven't done anything that I've done before I went to prison. Anything that I was doing before I went to prison, I haven't done. I stopped doing it in 1992. I went to prison in 1990. I stopped doing everything I was doing in 1992 when I read a book. I picked a book and I read a book and my life changed. And so I speak for us as a team. I speak for Safe Streets. As a team, I speak for Safe Streets. I respect Deborah, Dante, and Nisha, and the hard work that they do. You know what I'm saying? That Tyrone is on board. This whole thing right here. Like this thing, we respect all of that. But this respect got to go all around, When you see Safe Streets, everybody got to say, you know what? We're a part of Safe Streets, the movement. We're going to stop these shootings in Baltimore City. And with that, I say peace and love, and I thank all of you.
This program. I don't got to, I get to co-journey with the men and women who do the work of Safe Streets Baltimore every day. And we do it from the heart space because the bedrock of our work is in relationship. You heard all about it in the presentation. You saw it demonstrated in the icebreaker activity. It is who we be. It's not what we do. This is who we are. We simply get to show up as our authentic selves every day and say to the people who honor us enough to allow us to serve them, we get to say to them, I see you. I see your humanity. None of us are without fault. All of us are greater than the worst thing we've ever done. The same is true for our constituency. And if we can live that out and how we get to show up every day, then we are paying the price for the air that we breathe. It's truly an honor. I want to tweak the agenda just a little bit. There are 2 of the 4 community-based organization representatives in the room. I would like to call on them and have them offer a few words. They include Kevin Keegan from Associated Catholic Charities and James Bond from Living Classrooms Foundation. Please come up, gentlemen, and share with the room.
Well, Dedra, I mean, what an honor to stand before you all. I work for Gardnell Carter, Hampson. I do. At Living Classrooms, I may be the CEO, been working there 33 years, but I work for him and our Safe Streets East team. 10 years ago, when Josh Sharpstein, the health commissioner, asked us to apply for this, the first RFP, Living Classrooms was honored to do so. And we've been able to put together an amazing team over those years led by Hamza, by Gardnell Carter. So he's been kind of the godfather of Safe Streets, and I think many of you, Dante, many of you all worked with him over the years, and so our job at Living Classrooms is to help support him and to support you all, and to support Dedra and Anisha, Dante, Tyrone, the city in this effort. And we're just honored to do so, Alex, the whole team. And so full speed ahead. We got a lot of work to do. And as we grow, in any business as you grow, we got to grow smart. As a tree grows and gets large, gets taller, we got to make sure the roots are there and strong, or else the tree falls over. So as we grow, ladies and gentlemen, we need to grow wisely because we're under the microscope. And your leadership is critical. Thank you. Let's be safe.
Hey everybody, I am Kevin Keegan from Catholic Charities, and it's one thing to be put on the spot without knowing I was going to speak, but then I have to follow MOCJ. That makes it even more challenging. But I am very, very fortunate to represent an organization that employs MOCJ. And when we interviewed him, I think it took about 30 seconds to decide he was the guy. And because I remember the first question we asked him in the interview, I said, how would you describe Safe Streets in about just 30 seconds or a minute? He says, well, first you have to tell me who I'm talking to. And I was like, I just thought that was the best answer, that to be nervous and to be that thoughtful and clearly unshakable. So well done, really well done. I also want to share, one of my favorite places, just when I need to get grounded, one of my favorite places to be is at our post. It is some of the realest individuals that I have so much respect for that you will ever meet. And I want to share Miss Nicole, one of our very, very valuable team members who has an amazing influence in our post, lost her 17-year-old son to violence, and she is here today, just 2 weeks ago. So thank you for the work you do. Not only did she suffer that tragic loss, but she's also, the person, for instance, when there was a few months ago where we were simultaneously had a radio station we were in the building, and one of our potential donors in the building, and there was a knock at our doors, true story, knock at our door, and there was somebody, and I was sharing this story with our board of directors because I told them somebody showed up at our front door with a gun in their belt, and for anybody else that's a sign of a bad day, right? If somebody shows up at your door with a gun in their belt that they intend to use. But in Safe Streets' case, it was exactly what we wanted, because this individual stopped by to let our team know, and they specifically asked for Miss Nicole. He wanted them to know what he was about to do so that they could then talk him out of it as they did. So it's those sorts of stories with people who are, so connected to the community and so, still, the biggest test for anybody in Safe Streets, as I've learned, is when something touches you really close. Can you still live the words of Safe Streets? And and it's so important that us as CBOs support the staff in a way to do the work that they do, because as they go out and stand between guys with guns, and they were wearing nothing but orange shirts. So it's just humbling, and thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, James. Now I'd like to bring up Tyrone Roper, the Interim Director of the Mayor's Office on Criminal Justice, to offer a few remarks. We are going to proceed with the agenda after Tyrone and begin the screening. There's water in the room if you're thirsty. Help yourselves. Your lunch will be served according to the agenda, and when our mayor joins us, I will interrupt wherever we are and introduce her to bring greetings to you. Tyrone?
So, good morning. How's everybody? Good stuff? So it's an absolute honor of mine to be able to work with Dedra, Nish, and Dante on the Safe Streets program. So much like Kevin, I wasn't expecting to come up, but nonetheless, I'm always willing and prepared. So it's an absolute honor to be able to have the Safe Streets program nested under the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice. Safe Streets is absolutely one of the violence reduction community-based programs that's nested under MOCJ. Our span is pretty expansive. So MOCJ is responsible for the camera system here in Maryland, a lot of the BPD technology. My specific priority is to make sure that the men and women of Safe Streets are getting what they're needing. So within the office, one of the things that I'm structuring is to ensure that there is an administrative capacity to move the work along and to be supportive of each site. One thing that I'm also planning on doing is coming back together with the site directors when we can again continue to sit down, Brother Hamza, and have these conversations about what you all need. So I do get a lot of attention, Rashad, around what you guys need. So for me, it's imperative that because of the seat that I sit in, when I'm able to really help make decisions to be supportive of the program, that's what I'm really intentional about, because Imhotep hit it on the head. If you have access and the ability to create resources for folks, that's one thing that I'm intentional about, ensuring that everything still is in a very ethical way, but I'm very intentional about ensuring that the Safe Street staff have the support that they need. And then also same with Dedra, Nish, and Dante, so that they can continue to function well in their roles. With that said, I really appreciate everybody for coming out and the support. And the men and women of Safe Streets, I truly, truly, truly applaud you and honor you. What a lot of folks don't know, and I say it unapologetically, is I too am a hood boy, right? Born and raised. Please don't let the tie and shirt fool you. But I'm truly here because of God's grace. So I'm appreciative for this opportunity and to be supportive of you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Tyrone. So we're going to move forward with the agenda and move towards the screening of the Charm City documentary. And it really is a film that demonstrates what it looks like to address violence in Baltimore City on the front line. It is imperative that you understand that there is positive impact that is happening across our city. And Safe Streets sees every potential relationship as one that we can leverage to strengthen and deepen the work that we do across our city. Because we don't see ourselves different from the individuals that we get the opportunity to serve. So we're really doing this work selfishly. We're doing it to serve ourselves. And we get the opportunity to do it in partnership with our neighbors, our communities, and the residents of Baltimore City. I will say what I said when we started, that hopefully by the time you leave this room today, you will commit yourself to having learned more, to doing more, and to being more. So we're going to start with the screening right now, and we look forward to, I'm not going to start with the screening right now. I'm going to wait for a moment because our mayor is on the way. So we're going to welcome her and allow her her opportunity to bring greetings when she comes into the room, and then we will move forward. While I'm waiting on our mayor to come into the room, I just need to ask, is our PBS partner in the room? No. Okay. Opportunity to welcome one of the hardest working women in Baltimore City in the room. And I know that she's a hard-working woman because I get to see her in the mirror every day. And I see her effort. I feel her passion and her vision and the movement that our city has engaged in since she has taken leadership. So I'd like you to help me welcome our mayor, Catherine Freed.
Dedra, before you sit down, I'd like to present you with this certificate of recognition, and this is for all of you all, for Safe Streets. Let me acknowledge our Vice President of City Council, Sharon Middleton, is here with us. Thank you for being here. Let me just say this, you all. We realized early on how important this program is, I should say was, is, and will be to Baltimore City. And so you all know that when we came in, that Safe Streets was actually under our health department, and I think we had 3 different sites around the city. But what you all have shown over the years is that the numbers do work, that you all on the street makes a difference in terms of how we reduce violence in our city. And so I have to say to you all, I want to say Tyrone, Dedra, all of you all, thank you. Thank you for the work that you continue to do on behalf of the citizens of Baltimore. And I wanted to share with you all just a little story about why this is significant and why it's important and why you are part of the whole messaging and work that has to be done as relates to reducing violence in our city. As you well know, when we came in December of 2016, we came into a report that laid on my desk, a 164-page report, that said that Baltimore was to come under a consent decree. That report had been received by the city, but no work had really been done enough work to move it forward. And I'll never forget my first 2 weeks in City Hall and someone standing behind my head, a member of the City Council, telling me that I needed to, that they had sent me a letter. And my first reaction is, you're in City Hall, I'm in City Hall, I have an open door policy. City Council people can meet with me anytime they want to, and the Vice President would tell you, and especially on Mondays when they have City Council meeting, that you can come in my office and talk about anything you so desire. So when I read the letter, it said, you need to sign the consent decree. Well, what people didn't understand was there was no consent decree to be signed because it had not been done. So I spent my first 60, almost 90 days working with our law department, MOCJ, and others, police department, to get our consent decree done. And I can tell you that I was told by other cities around the nation that were facing the same consent decree at the same period of time, don't worry about it, because you now have the Trump administration and they're not going to have any concerns about a consent decree. But I thought that because the citizens of Baltimore and the community and the police department deserved this consent decree, because it didn't just talk about policing in the community. What it talked about was the lack of technology. It talked about the lack of community engagement. It talked about so many things. For example, in 1997, they started putting computers in police cars in every single jurisdiction in this state. Prince George's County, Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County, Baltimore County, but not in Baltimore City. And the question for those who led before should be, why not? And so it was not until I became mayor that I went directly to the state and said, I need money to put computers in police cars. And so we have now outfitted every single police car in the city with computers. The other story that had not been told was that when we walked in the door, you talk about Safe Streets being underfunded, Safe Streets not being what it should be. We were 545 police officers down. 545. And while policing is not the only answer, and you all have proven that, you know, having police officers on the streets of your city is important. We have on our books that we have 2,800. We haven't had 2,800 police officers in almost 7 years. And so we are under-policed in the sense that we don't have enough people on patrol. And I tell people, when you freeze police hiring, you know who you freeze out? The people who belong on the streets. Because in corporate America, we would look at it differently. We say, how many people up in this part of the organization do we need to remove so that we can make sure that we have people on the street? But Safe Streets helps us to mitigate some of the violence, as you well know, the confrontations. And while we are trending downward in every single category in crime, I can tell you that we're not down enough. But I can tell you that part of the reason that we are down is you all on the streets every day. Because as I said to Eric Dyson, who many of you may know as a journalist, a professor, who I ran into last week, and he said to me, you know, great to see you. I said, great to see you. I said, but I want to have a conversation. I want to elevate the conversation around black men killing black men. Because there's too many illegal guns on the streets of our city, and you all know, you see it. You know, too many black men killing black men, too many murders in our street, too many folks devaluing life, no conversation around what's wrong and what's right or why you're here. Because now we've created what we call, and I tell folks, and so what he said to me, it is the, he said, part of the problem is the urbanization and the movement of people to poor communities. And I said, well, let me just say it, that's not what I see every day. Because see, I get out of the car. I've stood on the corners like you all. I've had the conversations. And while I know there are people who are marginalized, it doesn't keep us from getting to opportunity. And I can tell you that through the Office of Employment Development, for example, I said, you know what, there's so many people who don't know how to go get a job. Let's create mobile units. Let's go out to the neighborhoods. Let's go out to the communities. And let's get people working. And then I said, there's some people who don't even know how to maneuver through the job market, so why don't we create 1 day's work for 1 day's pay so we can get people in? I ran into a gentleman who said to me, he said, you know why I don't have a job? And I said, why? He said, because I'm a big guy and I'm intimidating. I said, well, I'm not intimidated. Give me your name so I can get you a job. So he's working. So part of it, and this is what I said to Eric, I said, part of it is not about not being able to get a job. I said, there are many reasons, and you all know these reasons, whether you've returned from an institution and you don't know how to maneuver through the workplace, whether you have child support issues and you haven't figured out how to deal with that, or you just don't know how to get through the marketplace. That's part of our responsibility, to make sure that you can maneuver through the workforce. And that's what our Office of Employment Development does. That's what our agreement with Johns Hopkins and University of Maryland, because we need to get people working. That's what our Department of Public Works does. You know, it's not about a record. It is about how we get people to full employment so that they can realize their goals in life. But you all mitigate the arguments that take place on the street, the confrontations that take place on the street, that could erupt into something more violent. And what I say to folks is that what we're experiencing on the streets of our city, you know, it's about territorializing different parts of the city. If I'm going to sell drugs over here, then you can't come over here. And if you come over here, then I'm going to shoot you here. And then the next thing you know, my sister, my daughter, my father, my mother, somebody gets caught up in the crossfire. One life lost in the city is one life too many. And so that's that's why your work is so important, because we've got to teach folks that life is valuable. These folks don't get up off the ground and get to live another day, or to have a conversation with their daughter, their mother, their father, their sister, their cousin. They don't get to do that because you don't know what that bullet will do, because when it hits somebody, it could tear their heart out, tear their brain out in their life. And so that conversation around black men killing black men, and now we got women in the streets as well, that conversation needs to be had. And it has to be had in a very meaningful way. You know, because what people don't understand, whether it's drug addiction, mental illness, or the inability to get a job, or to get something that is meaningful to them, they need somebody they can talk to, somebody they can relate to. And that's part of the work that you do. And so we've got to make sure that we're feeding you the information that you need to pass it on. So while we are, again, down in homicides, nowhere where I'd like to see us, and nowhere near where I know we can go. And so we created things like the Affordable Trust Housing Trust Fund, which will fund $20 million for housing for people in the city. And I created a 51.7, as they say, I say 52 million because I round it off, $52 million neighborhood investment fund, so that we could invest in neighborhoods like Sandtown. Just left Druid Heights and committed another $1 million over there for their Bakersview housing project. Because we can change the city. If you haven't been to Park Heights lately to see the 60 acres of land that we've torn down, board of house after board of house after board of house. I don't know how it got this way, but what I do know is that there is a solution. Stuff doesn't happen overnight, but it happens because people such as yourselves are committed to the change. We can change this city. We can make it one of the safest cities in America, and you all are an example of how we can do that. And so as we grow and expand safe streets, because I think every city, every part of our city deserves a safe street. You know, we did an experiment, and this was just an experiment, you all, last year. It started November the 1st of last year. And I said, what would it be like if I were to put all of my agency folks in the same room with my commanders? Would that help us to reduce violence? And I can tell you that with your help, those 7 areas that we concentrated on, even if we don't get down below the numbers that I want to get to, in those 7 areas, and this is the story that you won't hear, in those 7 focused areas, we call it the Violence Reduction Initiative, we're down 27% in homicides, 27%, while the city is down 11% overall, but 27% in those 7 focused areas, and 24% in non-fatal shootings. So the question becomes, and this is why I'm saying Safe Streets is so important, how do we rev that up? How do we spread it across the city? We know part of it is resources. You know, we know part of it is adding to some of the programs that are working. But it shows that if you are experimental, like Safe Streets was an experiment, nobody knew that it would work at the level that it's working now. And so we've gone from 3 now to 10. Adding Associated Catholic Charities, Living Classrooms, East Baltimore Community, Brooklyn, Bel Air, and Madison, HEBCAT, because we know that these communities are in need too. So as you all go out and have conversations, as you all have done, with these people who are in our streets, let them know how valuable you all are as well, how valuable you all are to the city, and how valuable life is and can be. That there is hope, whether you have a drug addiction problem, a mental health problem, or just a job search problem. There is a better tomorrow, and all of us should want to contribute to the betterness of our own city, Baltimore. Thank you all. Thanks for all the work that you do. So appreciative. So appreciative.